Namaskar, dear seekers, and welcome to all. Welcome to our series of topics where we also you share some points, so what you have experienced, and we will also answer. We'll have an interaction with you, but we will share also a topic, which is our series of Guru Answer. So I hope everyone is doing fine. So today's topic is about déjà vu. So why déjà vu happen? So first I would like to introduce myself in short. My name is Syriac. I come from France and I'm doing spiritual practice for more than 20 years. I live in India for more than 10 years in an ashram where I practice spirituality. And for the past 2-3 years, I'm traveling in different parts of the world, and especially past 2 years in Europe. As I'm speaking with you today, I'm in Germany, East Germany, in the Earth regions. Also about SSRF. SSRF is an acronym of the Spiritual Science Research Foundation, and it was founded in 2006 with the blessing of His Holiness Dr. Attavoli, that is a Saint of High Order from India. And SSRF has two main objectives. One objective is to share or explain about the spiritual dimension and how we can have an effect on us. And for that, we have more than 740 articles on our website about way of life, about spiritual practice, spiritual phenomena, and spiritual research as well. So, of course, I invite you to read and study because all our knowledge is published free of charge on the website. And the second platform that we have is we have what we call satsang. It's an online meeting where we have more than 50 online meeting every single week in English and other languages, where anyone who have desire to practice spirituality or learn are welcome to those online meeting where we have advanced seekers who helps those seekers. We also meet seekers who are practicing spirituality, because this objective is to help a seeker in their spiritual path or journey, irrespective of the path, all the way to God realizations. And just would like to share about the research. So in conjunction with SSRF, the University of Spirituality, Maharishi University of Spirituality, that is also was founded by His Holiness Dr. Attavoli, where we do a lot of research using biofeedback device, and we use like some biofeedback device as aura scanners who can measure the positive or negative aura, and we publish all our research similarly on SSRF website. We present also academic papers across the world in different conferences. So this is something we have received awards also for the research findings. So of course some you will find easily on our website as well. Just dear seekers, before we start our live stream, what we do for around 2 minutes, we will either meditate or chant, I think repeating a divine name in a mind or a mantra, just to achieve some level of concentration or some calmness. And then we will start with a live stream tonight. Just what you can do, you can just close your eyes, you can either meditate, chant, or focus on your own breath, and at the same time we will play a divine name. So dear seeker, you can close your eyes now and we will meditate for 2 minutes.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 ॐ नमो।
So, dear seeker, you can open your eyes. So, I think some of you may have joined in between. So, welcome to all. Today is our series of Guru Answer, and today's topic is about déjà vu. So, why déjà vu happen? So, some of you may be curious to know. So, just to share how live stream is around 1 hour durations. For around 15 to 20 minutes, I will be sharing some point and showing you some image also. And after that, the remaining 30 to 40 minutes will be interaction with you, where you can share your experience about déjà vu, or if you have questions also in regards to this topic of spirituality. So it is, some of you probably may have heard about the word déjà vu. It is actually a French word that means already seen, and it is a feeling that I have been there before or have seen this before. I don't know in some of you have experienced it. I'm just curious to know if some of you can just say yes or no, because after in the end I will ask you also to share more in detail about your experience of déjà vu. Just now I wanted to like to know if some of you have already experienced this phenomenon of déjà vu, because we actually often get these questions of why déjà vu happen. And there are actually a few reasons for that. I would like to show you now a breakdown, an image, so to explain about the spiritual root cause behind déjà vu. And as you can see in this breakdown, there are actually 30% of the cases is actually related to identifying the present experience with a similar experience, whether it is in this lifetime or in a previous lifetime. And you can see the bigger part is half, is 50% of the cases, it happened due to something called a tuning fork phenomenon. So I will share about this in much more detail afterwards. And the third part you can see is 20% is miscellaneous. So it is different aspect that is actually different to the other factors that I just mentioned. So it can be either because of someone having a sixth sense, able to perceive something, or it can be because of a dream that you have seen something, or you seen something fast. We are driving, we see some pictures, or we see something. Actually, it is registered in our mind, but we are consciously not aware about it, and then it comes back at that time. So you can see, as I share, and this has different factors, this miscellaneous. So just to go back, because the most important point you would like to know is this tuning fork phenomenon. So before we explain about it, I would like to share with you one concept of what we are comprised of. So it will explain a little bit more about this phenomenon. So first, now I would like to show you also an image of what we are comprised of. And as you can see, there is a physical body, and you can see in yellow or different shade of yellow or white, there are what we call subtle body. And just every living or non-living object emit frequencies that actually contribute to what we call the aura. So everyone has an aura, whether it is living or non-living. And in the case of human beings, the frequency are emanating from all these comprised bodies. So we have, you can say, the gross body, as you can see. There is a mental body. There is what we call the mind, the mental body of the mind. Then you have also the intellect, the causal and super ego, or we call it also super causal body. And the soul is different. The soul is the God within the person. So all this actually call in a way, in short, our aura. And these emissions now and receiving of this frequency become sometimes more pronounced when a person either is meditating or thoughts are focused. That means a person start having more concentration. That means when a person is meditating or achieve some level of concentration, then this frequency or aura can increase. So just to go back to share now about the tuning fork phenomenon, is related to when the frequency of a person's mind actually temporarily match the frequency of the mind of the other living person, or it can be the subtle body of a person in the afterlife. This is just to share the frequency of our mind don't match with everyone. And just as a rule of thumb, actually it will match from 1 to 100 million people. In other words, the frequency of our mind will match to 77% in the entire world. That means out of the 7.7 billion people on Earth. But also, this number actually will be much higher. Why? Because there are many subtle bodies in the afterlife. And this is a much bigger number. So in a way, this number from 77 is much more because there are much more subtle entities or body in the afterlife. So I don't know if what I shared so far, if you have any questions or comment, you can please, you can always start to write, or your experience also. We have two seekers who are there to monitor the chat from YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and we will collect your questions, your comment, or your experience. Just wanted to share also, see, when we say the two people mind can match, they are not soulmate in any way. It is just that particular experience of their mind actually matches. And this is in a way this déjà vu or notion that they have witnessed something or experienced something. So actually sometimes we experience maybe that déjà vu, but it may be the experience of someone else. So I don't know if some of you may have that experience of déjà vu and you could not relate to it. So just you can share also if that happened to you. Just also to share about this tuning fork phenomenon. See, in the case of people who are affected, or we can say possessed by ghosts or negative energy, to a medium or severe extent, those statistics will differ. So what we mean is, see, in today's time, most of the people are affected by what we call departed ancestors in the afterlife, or ghosts also. And they are affected from a medium to severe extent. So what happened is, at that time also, ghosts take advantage of this to actually try to mislead others. And in reality, 1 out of 2 phenomenon of déjà vu is caused by ghost or negative energy. So just wanted to share that some of you may have experience of déjà vu. So some may have experience of déjà vu, or maybe it was either negative experience, or some was maybe a positive experience. Or some of you may have experience of déjà vu, but you could not understand the meaning of that déjà vu or what it means. So you can share in the chat, or of course you can ask any question also. I would like to give you a minute to share in the chat about what you want to share, whether you have those positive experience, negative experience of déjà vu. If you didn't have, you can also, if you have questions or any other question, you can ask also. And just, I think some of you have said, no? 9 of you, I think so far I've seen, I've shared that you, yes, you have more than, I think in YouTube and Facebook, more than 10 says that you have experienced that phenomenon. So some of you can share, and some of you who have already mentioned about it, you can, if you want to share in more detail, please do so. Or if you have questions also, you can ask. So I give you some time to write. Just if some of you are joining in between, we had just now share about some point about déjà vu. So if you have questions or you have experienced something about déjà vu, you can share. Or if you have question also, you can ask your question also on the chat. I think we have a question, our first question from Nicola Black. So you said you visit Cambodia and volunteer in a village school, and when you arrive in Siem Reap, you knew I've been there before. It is difficult to explain a feeling of knowing the place, like going home. Actually, Nicola, it's nice that you did some that giving to others. You did some volunteering and trying to help the others. So that is a good. It shows some good quality in you, and it's probably as you share. No, you maybe had a feeling that you know this place, and as we shared before, whether it is maybe we can't say by certainty whether it is because of the fork tuning or it can be because of previous birth. Sometimes a person, this is one we share now, in 30% of the cases, it can be because an experience in this lifetime or in previous lifetime also. So by certainty we can't say, I think Nicola, but it's a good thing, no? You experience something different. Something it's difficult to explain in words also. From Deo, you said another question. You said my dad used to tell me the same things again and again. So it wasn't surprising when I had déjà vu. One time he was telling me something while driving, maybe 20 years ago. This is probably that repetition of having seen that things again, and because of repetitions, and we see that again. Yeah. So from Lauren Harrison, you said, I felt déjà vu in places I've visited or things that have happened sounded. See, Lauren, same, see, as we have said, there are different factors, is for tuning also, especially how negative energy can take advantage. So it's, see, ultimately what happened, no? whether I'm giving you not concrete answer to this, whether it is because of previous birth, whether it is because of the fork tuning phenomenon, or whether it is because this, with many factors, having a sixth sense, or something that we have seen and goes and register in our mind, and we are not aware of it. But what is important in this experience? We feel something different. No, it is something beyond our mind and intellect, and that is important because we start understanding that actually there is a subtle world, a spiritual dimension, and that if this actually type of experience, instead of remaining thinking why this happened, it gives us that feeling, let me try to experience this subtle world, this spiritual dimension, then we start practicing spirituality, because the spiritual dimension is very vast. From Ashwat Shiram, you said, my mind is crying immediately I see someone crying or in trouble. How to control it? See, Ashwat, it's maybe not fully related to the topic, but what it can be, see, it can be either you are emotional by nature, so when you see someone crying, or then you feel like crying also. So, and of course, it must be, as you can say, it looks to be like troubling you, and you want to control it. So, see, I will share in short, see, chanting God's name helps to, at that time, to remain in present, to reduce the number of thoughts in our mind. And when our mind is more calm, more stable, then also it helps us not to see situation more calmly. But if life says there is more emotionalism in you, at that time you can work on this process of how to reduce emotionalism. So ultimately we don't know, no? When it comes to overcome emotionalism, fear, anger, we are left alone. We don't know how to do it. And actually it is a simple technique that was actually done by His Holiness Dr. Attavlu, is a source of inspiration of SSRF, who explains that we can overcome those traits of personality by first contemplating why I'm becoming emotional and what is causing it, what are the situations, and then we can frame what we call an autosuggestions. It is a technique that we repeat a specific sentence. It's not affirmations. It is more we can say, specific to the situations, and we can overcome those, we can say, impressions such as emotionalism. It will be like a suggestion will be like, whenever I see someone crying and I feel like crying, I will realize that it will not help me in that situation. So I will remain calm and start chanting. Or I will realize that I need to become stable and calm. So I will remain calm and start chanting. See, chanting, why we say chanting is also important, because see, if our mind is full of thoughts, it's become very difficult not to introspect, to understand what is in our mind, how our mind function. So that's why when we try to chant, at that time the number of thoughts in our mind become less. It's like water become more still, no? And then it is easier to understand what is in our mind, because more or less we are not giving time to look inward, to study what is a incorrect habit, because good habit give us happiness, but bad habits such as anger, emotionality, insecurity, or anger, it give us unhappiness, but we can overcoming by those techniques. That's why we have those online meeting that we have every week. So we will paste in the chat if any one of you would like to join to our online satsang. It is free of charge. Huh? So we explain about this process. So just to go back to the topic, for Christina Mew, you have a question. I have a period in life where I often have this. I feel like I've been at place before. I've never been. I usually take this as a good sign where I feel connected. See, Christina, again, it's good to have that you have those experiences, but just as I shared before, one déjà vu out of two is caused by actually departed ancestor or negative energy. So we can't say again whether your experience is because of some things you experience in this life or previous birth, or whether it is because of those other factors, or it is because it's Faulkner tuning. So that's why you experience it. So we never know. So just at that time, see what we can do. At that time, when we experience, is beyond our understanding. No? So we can't say whether it is positive or negative. So what we can do, we can just pray to God and chant God's name. So we will be protected only, whether it is actually caused by negative energy. I just wanted to share, see Christina, many things we may experience not in spirituality or spiritual path, or like that spiritual phenomenon. So it is very difficult to decipher whether something is positive or negative until and unless our spiritual level is very high or our sixth sense is very high. Then we are able to understand what does what, who does what. So at that time, we don't know. So just by praying to God, we will be always protected. So that will become like a reflex, an habit, that we pray to God, please God protect me, and then we chant God's name. And see, let the phenomenon happen, no? Because anyway the phenomenon is happening, but at least we get that spiritual protections. And later we may come to know whether that experience was positive or negative. From Yolanda Cosma, you say you have questions. My neighbor died last Saturday, and on the same day I had an argument with her about what happened with her cat. Because unfortunately she was an alcoholic and a drug user. I had a bad feeling that she did something with her cat, and I was arguing with her about it, and a couple of hours later she was dead. And I feel so guilty or sad that we departed this way. I wonder if she's upset with me in the afterlife because of the argument, or she has forgiven me. I hope she will find peace because she was in constant turmoil while living here in the apartment building. See, Yolanda, it's a bit separate topic, but I share in short. See, again, we can't know whether that person will be angry with us because that person has departed, no? So it is in afterlife where if the person was a drug user and alcoholic, they is probably affected by negative energy. So at that time, see, we can just chant, no? Our chanting will be the main protection for us. And that we will not come to know whether she's upset with me or not. If we feel her presence, you feel her presence, you feel her, then it could be. But just not to think like that, because not to worry. More important, if you chant God's name, then you get protection from God. You can play also the divine name in low tone in the house. So that also will create a protective shield, a protection sheet. From Ranjani Mahishi, you said, I feel like this scene is repeated. It is more like a comment, no, Ranjani, or it is a question, in case if you want to reformulate. Maria Eva, you said, does déjà vu always happen in dream? No, actually, Maria Eva, most of the time, déjà vu happen in a waking state. What we say about this miscellaneous, it can happen that you saw something in dream. The dream happened, it registered in our mind. And then on the waking state, we see something, but actually we have seen that in dream, but we see it in a waking state. So we feel something we have seen it before, we can't pinpoint. But because it's dream, we may not be aware also. Just to share that majority of déjà vu are in a waking state. From Oksana Goroskoviaya, sorry, I may not pronounce this too well. what if déjà vu happened in a dream? So maybe I have answered to you, no, Oksana, because I've shared to Maria that majority of the déjà vu happen in a waking state. And if it happens, same thing. Ultimately, we can't understand what really happened. So that's why, and whether that déjà vu, that chance can be because of negative energy. At that time, we should just pray and chant. From Nietzsche, Paul, you said, what about in instance when one feels that they have experienced something before and know how it will happen, and it happens that way? Does it still count as déjà vu? In Nietzsche, that's a good point you shared, because whether it is a déjà vu or whether it is a premonitions, because it can happen as somebody sees something and that it happened actually again later in the future. So sometimes it can be a premonitions. But again, what I would like to stress on this about premonitions. Some people see something and they feel that, oh, that is a premonitions, and then act on it. But actually, it may not be so, because the same thing in premonitions, negative energy can utilize this and actually misguide. This is in a way the same aspect of déjà vu, that actually negative energy or ghost utilize this phenomenon to mislead or misguide someone. So just to understand, because again, the same aspect when it comes to the spiritual dimension or spiritual world, until and unless a person is spiritually evolved or sixth sense is high, they can understand what really happened in the subtle dimension, who does what, or what actually it is, whether it is positive or negative. So that's why, in regards to a person who have maybe premonitions, until and unless it repeat few times in a row and it is exactly the same, not to pay attention, because the chance to be misled can be high. For Malie Pranav, you said, is déjà vu experience more with spiritual progress? Actually, not so. When we make spiritual progress more and more, this déjà vu reduce actually. Because at that time, what happened? The person is in connection with God more. There is more protection from God. So this déjà vu actually become less. Because see, déjà vu doesn't bring any happiness, no? It's just something as a few seconds, and even we can't understand what it is. But when you grow spiritually, then what happens? You experience inner happiness, spiritual emotion, and that remain constant for minutes, hours, day. So it is lasting. From Parisa, you said, when I was traveling to India for the first time, I felt that I was there before and also felt love towards the Indian people. And also since childhood, I felt a connection with India and Indian culture. Also, you did meditation and other related techniques since you were 19 years old. And also, you had a vision of Lord Krishna sometime. Felt that somewhat related to my previous life. It can be parisasi. Ultimately, we are born again and again, not for two reasons. We are born in a particular family, country, because of our destiny in this lifetime. So we are born again for that reason, to go through this destiny and experience happiness or unhappiness. And the second is to make spiritual progress, to grow again. So we had many life befores. So it's possible. See, if you have an inclinations since you are so young, despite you are probably from a different country, that means we never know. It can be that from previous birth you could be born in that country. But again, same thing. When it comes to reincarnation, we had a live streamer about reincarnation, not to get stuck in that. It's just good to understand only, to realize that actually I'm born again. Let me do spiritual practice. Some people get stuck. Oh, I could have been there. I could have been born that. In previous birth I was this. So it will never stop. It become intellectual discussions, and we can't. Same thing. There is a purpose why we cannot remember our previous birth. God purposefully did it. Otherwise, it will be so confusing, no? So that's why it's good you have this feeling, and I understand what you are trying to say. That because of that you feel some connection. So that is good. But ultimately, just practicing spirituality is the best way. Because when we grow spiritually, then we becoming closer and closer to God. And what happens, we transcend everything and we experience just inner joy, inner happiness, or what we call bliss. There are few comments. I think few of you have shared different comments from Oksana. I mean, I feel in my dream that I have been there before. It can happen same thing, huh? Oksana, that in dream you see something, then in dreams you get a feeling. But same thing, see, when it comes to dream also, we also had a live stream about dreams. Until and unless a dream repeat 3 times in a row, then we pay attention to it. But it's okay. Ultimately, see, whatever we see, whether it is premonition, whether it is déjà vu, whether it is a dream, it should lead me into actions or give me a drive or desire to do something so I do something or spiritual practice to change myself. From Lauren Harrison, you say, my experience, I've always felt positive. That's good, Lauren, that whatever experience you had was positive. That is important. Huh? From Nicola, this off topic, but seeing the effort by some other seekers, from time to time, I feel I'm not making good enough effort and I feel I progress slowly. But it is an inspiration too. See, that's why, Nicola, no? We have those online meetings and seekers come from different parts of the world, they join. See, when we practice spirituality alone, it's difficult to get self-motivations. When we come with others, we get inspired with others' efforts. Because everyone is different, no? So we learn from others. Many others have qualities. So we feel inspired, and that become a drive for us to increase our spiritual practice. From God 009, please chant Om Mani Padme Hum for me just for a minute, please, please. See, just you share a comment not to chant. But actually you should try to chant. Or if you cannot chant, see, Om Mani Padme Hum, it's nice that you are chanting this Buddhist chant. You can try to play it in low tone in your home, or you can download the divine name also that we have on the website. Play it in your home. And chanting 1 minute is not enough, no? Every day there are so many minutes. There are so many hours and so many minutes. So every minute we should try to chant on it. Just not 1 minute will not do anything for us. It will not help us. So what you can try, if you are not able to chant by mind, try to say it loudly. Or if you find difficult to concentrate and say it loudly, then listen to the audio of the chant. If you have the chant of Om Mani Padme Hum, then play it. If not, then you can download the universal chant that we have on the website. We can paste the link in the chat. We can just listen to it, see, to understand ultimately that every divine name is a different principle, but ultimately they are one and the same, because ultimately it carries divine consciousness. There's another comment from Mrunal. I used to experience it, but after starting spiritual practice with SSRF, the experience has reduced, and now you have not experiencing déjà vu. Yes, Mrunal, that's good. You share our sharing, no? Someone have asked these questions about whether it increased, and actually it reduced. But just to understand that it reduces, but on the opposite side, we get more stability, more lasting happiness. Because déjà vu doesn't bring happiness, no? Those of you who have experiencing, it creates quite something interesting. It is an interesting phenomena, but it doesn't give us inner joy or inner happiness. There is another question from Karin. You said, I met someone recently that I felt I have known my entire life. I have the sensation that my soul know him already. Is this possible? Is it a form of déjà vu? We both felt a strong connection extremely quickly, which is not typical for me. Karin just wanted to share, see, when you meet someone, no, we don't know. Again, if some people meet with each other, there is a reason why sometimes they meet. Or sometimes they feel attracted with each other. It can be destiny also. But when we say, see, my soul know him already, just to understand, soul is just the divine principle, each one. So it is devoid of, it is just God only. It is more our, whether it is our own memory, our own destiny, that actually have that memory or that connection. See, again, when it comes to having an attraction to someone, we don't know, no, what is right. So we can't say, but we can do same thing. See, whether it is because of destiny, so we are attracted, or whether it is desire, because we have maybe desire now, so we feel attractions. That can happen. Or because of all that also, or then negative energy also, because we don't know, no, what negative energy can do, whether they want to misguide or not. Then they can also influence that also. They can increase that level of attraction. That also can be possible. So what I'm trying to say, we can't be sure. Whatever going to happen, anyway, relationship or marriage is destiny only. But what we can do, we can pray and chant. Because when we pray and chant, at least we overrule this aspect of negative energy to interfere. That is one thing we can do. After, if the destiny has to play out, it will play out only. So from gods, you have a question, you can say, can you please tell me which meditation is the best? See, actually, to explain meditation, there are different techniques to enter meditation. What we want is to achieve a meditative state, because ultimately it depends also of the capacity of the person, no? More important is whether the person do this technique, they focus on the breath. Some people, they concentrate on the mid-broad chakras. Some people try to achieve no thoughts by just contemplating. So it depends, no? Everyone has a different, due to the path, a different way of meditations. Or some do chanting God's name, or repeating a divine name or a mantra. So by repeating also, the person enter into concentrations. So techniques are different. We have to see ultimately what is important. If some people practice meditation for years together and they don't achieve concentration or meditations, that means that, see, until and unless our mind is, we can say, clean, then it is easier to enter meditation. Because what is the aim, no? Mind should enter into a meditative state. That means no thoughts. So that's why in SSRF for us we say, initially chant God's name, or try to work on overcoming defect of personality like worry, fear, because what will stop you to meditate is the thoughts, no? We want to close eyes and be able to meditate, but then what happens? Thoughts come to our mind, and the thoughts come from impression in our subconscious mind. So if we work on it, what happens? Then the mind becomes more calm, the thoughts reduce. Then it is very easy. Whatever technique you do afterwards, it becomes easy to enter meditation. So you can see actually which type of meditation you are practicing. You can try chanting also. Or you can see whether, if when you try to meditate, you are able to enter meditation immediately, that's very good also. But if you have different thoughts and you can't meditate, then try to find what type of thought it is. And then learning this process, learning how to overcome these repetitive thoughts, and after that it becomes easier. There is another question from Ed Ismail. I started the salt water remedy with gomutra. Gomutra is urine from Indian cow. You put some different colors. You are wearing now cottons also, chanting, and only you don't know if it was too fast, but button push in the middle of my forehead at the exact spot of the third eyes. Look, my skull is swollen. It's a bit above the location where the kumkum, that is a red powder, what you call turmeric, is applied in India. Since then, I have decreased by listening to the chant of Sri Gurudev Datta. What do you recommend? Is this a new attack from negative entity? So if I understood Ismail, that you were doing different spiritual practice, such as you implemented, such as wearing sattvic colors, wearing cottons, doing salt water, chanting also, and you experience something at the level of the chakra here, mid-broad chakra. So in a way, what you can do when that happens, don't stop. But what you can do this nyas. It's a type of a mudra, because every finger is associated, no, with a divine cosmic element. There is earth, water, fire, air, and heater. It's called Panchatattvas. So this is a science of mudra. And this mudra is called nyas. At that time when you experience something here, you just put your finger and chant. So whenever you do salt water or when you chant, do the nyas mudra at this level. And maybe slowly it may reduce. But that's see, whenever something happens, no? When we practice, what happened to many seekers when they start practicing spirituality or self-healing remedy? Some experience they have, or they can experience mental changes, physical changes, and sometimes it can be quite new, no? It's difficult to understand. We experience something different, so sometimes it can be also slightly frightening also, but not to worry, because things are a good sign. That means that whether negative energy is leaving, affecting the chakra, or whether the negative energy is fighting at this level, or whether the positivity is increasing. See, ultimately the chakra within us are dormant, and negative energy affects those chakras. Because they don't want them to function. It is one way or affecting us. So at that time, when you start spiritual practice, the positivity start growing or protecting. So you may start experiencing some experience at the heart chakra, some experience at the level of the navel, the stomach. So different things can happen for everyone. So at that time, remember, when you experience something, when you chant or meditate, and you experience some pressure or some strange phenomenon you can't explain, do the nyas at that time, but not to make that mistake to stop. That's a good thing. From Yolanda Cosma, you say, if I'm afraid of dark energy, do I give it more power through fear? Yes, Yolanda, that is true, that if we are having fear, it can be fear or anger. It's like an open door. We are opening the door. It is easy for negative energy to capitalize on it. That means they will utilize or magnify our fear to make our mind more unstable. And then it is very easy for negative energy to affect us more. That's why we mention this aspect of working on our fears, and this process of personality defect removal is to learn how we can overcome this fear. So it can be fear, anger, or different type of defect. And then you can learn a specific sentence. It can be, whenever I'm fearful of the dark, or whenever I'm fear of that situation, I will become aware. I will realize that God is always with me. So I will remain calm and start chanting. And when you start repeating again and again those sentences, it will start creating a positive impression in your mind, in your subconscious mind. And then how it happened is at one point when that impression has grown to some extent in your subconscious mind, because you have repeated like many times. So what happened when a situation come and that fear come, automatically that thought will come. No, Yolanda, don't worry. God is with you. Remain calm and chant. And immediately you are able to come out of it or remain stable. Just to share, how we have learned languages by repetitions. How we have learned different things is through repetitions only. So through repetitions, it creates impression in our subconscious mind. Quality or defect similarly has been created through repetitions, not only in this life but in previous births also. So that's why we can actually, by this process of repeating this autosuggestion technique, we start replacing a good habit versus a bad habit. And then our life become different because our personality change for the better. Then we are able to see situations better, we are able to accept situation better because our mind is calm and stable. So ultimately we start seeing situations in a much different way. So dear Seeker, just wanted to share, it is nice that you have shared different questions. I would like to share also that this Sunday we have a workshop. It is of 3 hours duration. We'll paste the link in the chat. It is open to all. And this workshop, we will be sharing for the first 2 hours 5 self-healing techniques that we will do with you. We will do demo as well. You will practice it so that you can learn those simple self-healing techniques that you can practice back home. And the second part of the workshop is of 1 hour duration with a small break in between, where you can see, learn some research of how dance can have an effect on us. And it is very enlightening and interesting to see that which dance you perform can either increase your aura or decrease your aura. So this is quite open eyes for this topic. This is 3 hours durations. Just wanted to share that all our live stream are free of charge. The collective meditation also that we have every day. But this workshop is through donations. So you can give whatever you like or can. Everyone is welcome. You will receive a private link. It is in Zoom, so just for you to know. So we'll paste the link. You are welcome for this workshop. And just wanted to share also that tomorrow, that means Friday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we will also continue with collective meditation. That is every single day at 5 p.m. Central European time. And also tonight, we also have the same topic, why does Déjà Vu happen, with Her Holiness Bhavna Shinde from USA. And the timing is from 9 to 10 p.m. EST as per USA. So you can also, if some of you have liked the topic or you have more questions, you can of course join her live stream. So dear Seeker, I hope that you learned something. Ultimately, see what we want to share now about the Déjà Vu, that as we can say that we can sometimes not understand what exactly it means and not to remain stuck in it. And more important is practicing spirituality can really change many things, and some who have practiced spirituality can exchange because it can give us a better life or better stability, more happiness. So dear Seeker, I wish you a blissful day or a blissful evening and hope to see you tonight with Her Holiness Bhavna Shinde or tomorrow in the collective meditations. Namaskar to everyone.